We have an example of the government acting in real time right now to shut down one safe and legal way in which a few hundred people came to the UK in order to seek asylum. This is the conversation we always have, right? Refugees don't have a problem with that. What we don't like is them having to take irregular journeys. They should just use the regular safe routes. Anyone who knows anything about this will tell you, no, those regular routes pretty much don't exist. And where there are routes for people to seek asylum that are safe and that are regulated, we are acting systematically to shut them down. And this was something that the last Tory government did, and it increased the need for people to take boats and dangerous journeys. And it's something that the new Labour government that promised us so much change is doing too. So on the 10th of September, the new Minister for Migration and Citizenship, Seema Malhotra, made a statement about immigration rule change, introducing new visa requirements on people from Jordan when they're travelling to the UK. So until now, if you were coming to the UK from Jordan, you could travel here quite safely, quite easily, if you could afford the flight. On the 10th of September, Seema Malhotra removed that ability for Jordanians to travel freely and safely with immediate effect. And you don't have to take my word for it. She said that it's because people were coming to the UK in order to seek asylum. In the last 3 months of 2023, 17 people from Jordan came to the UK, and then when they arrived, they sought asylum. And then since the start of 2024, just over 300 people have done the same thing. So they've entered the UK without requiring a visa through a legal route, taken a flight. And once they've arrived here, they've said, I'm unsafe in Jordan. Please don't send me back. And what the British state would then have to do is assess that claim. So they would have to establish whether the person who is saying that they would be at risk if they were sent back would be at risk under the terms of the law, which means that they have to prove that they are at risk of persecution in certain key ways. Now, Jordan isn't a big country of origin for refugees. As I just said, the numbers are really, really piddling in the UK. But let's maybe take a quick look at what some of the reasons why somebody might be in fear of persecution in Jordan. So, for example, Jordan criminalises free speech and freedom of expression. Criticise the king or the government or Islam or even Christianity, then you can be charged with a crime. Women are unequal before the law in Jordan. Domestic violence and abuse, that is simply tolerated. There's also more finicky things about women's rights to leave the country without the permission of their husband or another male relative, or their right to pass on their nationality to their children, or their right to marry outside of their faith. So there's lots of reasons in which women are oppressed. And of course, there's lots of repression of LGBT folks being covertly surveilled by the state and then blackmailed with materials that are found on their phones that indicate that they might be subversives, i.e. gay. And if this does happen to you and you are targeted by the authorities in Jordan, torture is used in detention and in prisons. So it would be pretty reasonable to want to escape, and any of those reasons could amount to persecution and entitle you to be recognised as a refugee in the UK. As a side note, there's a really interesting sort of secondary angle here that brings in Ireland. So one of the restrictions they put on prevented Jordanians from easily accessing a transit visa from the UK, so to pass through the UK airport and move on to another country. This actually reflects the fact that more Jordanians than are claiming asylum in the UK have been passing through the UK en route to Ireland, where they have been claiming asylum. And as many as 1,552 people have claimed asylum from Jordan in Ireland in the last year. And because so few people claim asylum in Ireland, that actually puts them in the top 5 nationalities claiming. And I wanted to draw attention to that in particular because I think it emphasises really clearly how migration is an inherently international thing that we need to manage internationally, and that the current time is not just the UK, but the entirety of Europe and the entirety of the Western world that makes it impossible for people to find safe ways to protection. And we did the opposite when it was Ukrainians. All European countries worked together to provide safe routes, and that's why it worked. To sum up, you have to be on British soil in order to claim asylum in the UK. When a country becomes dangerous and people who have been able to travel here safely and legally for years start to come and claim asylum through those safe routes, we shut down that ability for them to travel safely and make it difficult, which forces them to take dangerous journeys. And we did the opposite for Ukrainians, and that's why Ukrainians didn't have to take dangerous journeys.